Artists, today we are going to start a painting, and we're going to be painting a cup of hot chocolate. So the very first thing that we need to do is we need to start with an ellipse shape. So an ellipse is like a squished oval, and this is going to be the inside of our cup. So we don't want our ellipse to be really tiny, because then we will have a small, tiny cup of hot chocolate, but we don't want our ellipse to go all the way out to the edges, because that would be a giant cup of hot chocolate. So we kind of want a medium-sized ellipse. So the ellipse is different from a circle. A circle, I'm going to write on the back of my paper, looks like this, and an ellipse looks like this. So when we do our ellipse, we're going to think about a squished oval. Now that I'm on the back of my paper, I'm going to write my name and my code. And just remember, there's a difference between a circle and an ellipse. So now that I'm on the front of my paper, I'm going to create that stretched out ellipse. And I can go around a couple of times until I get the shape that I want. And then I can always erase those extra pencil lines that I don't need. So now that I have my ellipse, this is going to be the inside of my mug of hot chocolate. Now that we have the opening of our mug, we want the sides of our cup. And the sides of your cup are going to kind of be on an angle. So when we draw the sides of our cup, we have to line up the edge of our cup right here with the edge of our ellipse. If I don't line it up with the edge, what will happen is it won't really look like a 3D cup. So what I'm going to do is make sure that the edge of my ellipse is lined up with the edge of my cup. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So the left kind of angles into the right, and the right side angles into the left. Now this is where a lot of people mess up. A lot of people draw a straight line here to connect our cup, but if our cup is going to look 3D and realistic, we want to follow the curve of our ellipse. So I have a small curve here, so I need to connect my cup down here with a small curve as well. So we're missing one thing on our cup of hot chocolate right now. We're missing a handle. Your mug can have any kind of a handle. The only requirement is that it touches the mug and that it is thick. So if I put a mug handle here, kind of doing a backwards C, I need to be able to put my finger inside of the mug, so I'm going to follow that backwards C. Now I have a handle for my mug. To make it look like I actually have hot chocolate inside of my mug, what I need is I need to find where my ellipse kind of met, where the center is, and I'm going to do a curved frown line in the back. So now I could put my hot chocolate right here, and I would have the front of my cup, the hot chocolate, and the back of my cup. Now, right now, our mug of hot chocolate is just kind of sitting in space, and we need a table. So when we draw our table line, we have to make sure that our table line is above the bottom of our mug. If we put our line here, we still have a floating mug. If we put our line here, that's a really giant table. So somewhere above the bottom of our mug, we're going to do a horizontal line, and we're going to stop when we get to our mug and pick up on the other side. Now our mug is sitting on a table. As I was looking at my mug, I was realizing that I didn't really like the way that this line touched here. So what I'm going to try to do is curve that a little bit more. And I think I'll like the way that that looks inside my mug a little bit better. Yeah, I think that looks more like that hot chocolate is inside of that mug. Now that we have our mug on a table with the wall in the background, we're going to put pattern inside of our mug, pattern on our table, and pattern on our wall. So I have a handout with examples of line. Now you don't have to do these examples. These are just here for inspiration. So what we're going to do is I want you to create a pattern on your mug. I want you to create a pattern on your table, and I want you to create a pattern on the wall. So that's 3 different patterns that I want you to create. Remember that a pattern repeats It can be any design that repeats. Once you have created a pattern on your mug, a pattern on your table, and a pattern in the background, you're going to trace over all of your pencil lines with Sharpie. Once you've outlined all of your pencil lines in Sharpie, if there's any part of your pattern that you want to stay black, you're going to want to fill that in with Sharpie because we are not using black paint. If you see any pencil lines that are still showing after you've used your Sharpies, you can erase them. And then I want you to pick a really good spot somewhere on the front of your project to sign your name with Sharpie. And it can be anywhere, but remember to go nice and small so that way it doesn't take away from the rest of your project. The final step of our project is to add paint. We're going to be using tempera paint cakes when we add paint. So if you remember, we need a brush, water, a sponge, and a placemat when we paint. Anytime we want to activate or start the tempera paint cakes, we need to get water to activate them. And when we activate, that means we're just adding water to kind of wake up those paints. When we paint, remember to take really good care of your brush. We don't want to smash that brush into the project. Anytime you want to switch paint colors, you're going to want to use your messy mat, you're going to want to use your sponge, and your water. So I'm going to pause the video and catch up. When you're ready to change colors, the first thing that you do is you wipe your extra paint onto your messy mat. That's going to get that extra yellow off from your brush. Then you wipe your brush onto the wet sponge. That's going to get some of that extra paint off. The last step is to get your clean water before changing colors. So if I wanted to get a new color, now I have a clean brush with clean water so that I'm not contaminating the rest of my paints here. So now I could pick a new color. Remember, you just need to add water to activate your colors. And anytime you want to switch colors, remember that you want to use your messy mat first, then your sponge, then your water. While you're painting, if your paintbrush gets a little bit scratchy, if it's hard to get paint, that means your brush needs a little bit more water. And you can paint over top of your black Sharpie. The Sharpie won't run from the paint, but it might get a little bit duller, and that's okay. So once again, when you're getting a new color, messy mat, sponge, and then your fresh water. And I want you to leave the hot chocolate area without paint for now because there's no brown paint on these palettes, but I will be passing out some brown for those. Your last step will be to fill in the hot chocolate area with the brown paint that I've provided. Our final step is to take a white oil pastel and we're going to do just some curved lines right on top of our hot chocolate, the back of the mug, and the background, and it's going to end up looking like there's steam coming up from our hot chocolate.